So the last few recordings have had kind of some glitchiness at the beginning, like in the first 10 seconds or so, there'll be some sort of like time errors and stuff like that. So I'm just putting that out there so that everybody knows that we are actually super professional. We just act like a bunch of like animals because we're just wasting time to try to make sure the recording's caught up and we're not going to miss anything important.
Exactly.
You guys knew all that, right?
Yeah, like the fact that one of us is not even in there according to the frickin' thing.
Well, until you talk, it doesn't list you. In fact, the recording order comes in order of who spoke in what.
Well, that makes sense that I'm first on there then, so never mind.
So if Groper says something, his name will be added to the list.
That's right.
Lark knew that, but he's a professional acting like he doesn't know that.
See yeah, again, for the audience.
I have no idea what's going on.
There he is. There he is. And he pops up onto the list.
Yeah.
See, the system works. Well. Welcome once again to the loosest and screwiest podcast in the whole entire galaxy. You guessed it. It's the Loose Screws Podcast. This is, on the wrong browser tab, landing, and Sticky Toes has touched down, scrolling. It is the 269th
Nice
episode of the Loose Screws Podcast for 23rd January 2025.
33:11.
That was pretty tight, guys. Pretty tight. Well done. There was a little moment that I think we can all safely blame on Discord voice chat lag, where I thought you were going to leave me hanging on episode 269, but you did not. And we're all very happy. Joining me tonight, I'm Commander Jantrax, by the way. If you don't know who I am, it's probably because you're one of the YouTube hecklers that we picked up recwanly. Nah, I'm just kidding. Guys, by the way. That's not really happening. It was just that one guy who wanted to live in a world where we somehow weren't reachable and decided to comment on a bunch of YouTube videos to get my attention. If you can't hear the quotes that I put on "get my attention," just visualize that. Anyway, I'm joined tonight by Commander Bloomingwind.
Hello, everybody.
Commander Grover Kiwi.
G'day.
Commander Larkshade.
I don't know what's going on either.
And Commander Oblivious.
Howdy, partners.
Wonderful. I am thrilled to be back here. I kind of did a
Sorry.
Listen, here's the what should I sometimes think like should I do something a little better at the top of the episode? Here's a quick rundown of what's going to happen. There is no dev news. There is no anything going on. We're not going to have an FU until the end of February. So this is basically just like community stuff. It's going to be our community stuff with the faction and maybe some PowerPlay discussion a little bit. And it's going to be picking up where we left off with our discussion before. And we're going to talk about some events that are coming up, several of which seem to surround exploration and expeditions. So that's what's in store. So if none of that sounds interesting to you, you can just bow out now and you don't have to listen to the rest of this boring crap. But for those of you who are sticking around, yeah, guys, I kind of dashed at the end of the last episode, didn't I?
Yeah, tell us about that. What happened the last time?
There was a little bit of an emergency.
So,
how was your week, Trax?
So my wife. So there I was doing the podcast, right? And my wife calls to me, and it wasn't like, "Hey, honey," like I could tell, right? In her voice, like it was an emergency. She had dropped something on her foot and broken her toe, and she had dragged herself along the floor to where she could call to me at the top of the stairs, call down to me where I am to come up and help her. It was one of these like the towel rack that goes over a door. It's like a rack with some hooks on it. It loops over the top of a door. Anyway, yeah.
Mhm.
So she like goes to pull a towel off one of those and does it like so good that the whole rack comes off.
Jeez.
And you don't think of those things as being hard or heavy or whatever, but the thing just, I don't know, she just did it perfectly. And like that metal rod, just basically a column of pressure, just
Oh no.
absolutely destroyed one of her toes. And she was bleeding all over the place. And so it was like, not walkable. It was like pretty sure. And so yeah, it was late. We went and got some x-rays the next day to make sure, because even though there's pretty much nothing you can do for toes, there is this chance that it could have been like something that needed more attention. Like my mom a few months ago broke her foot and was actually like walking on it for a couple of weeks, like managing to walk on it a little bit before it just wasn't getting better. She gets x-rays and finds out that she needs to have like pins put in there or it's not going to heal right.
Great.
And she'd been walking on it for like 2 weeks. So we were like, yeah, okay, so we're going to get you, even though it's a toe, we're going to get your toe x-rayed, We did the thing. And of course, then it's like, yep, it's broken. That's the answer. So we got some crutches, but for a day and a half or so, I kind of was like carrying her up the stairs and stuff. So it's been a week, much better. She's hobbling around and managing to go about her life. As long as she's not trying to stand up for too long at a time, she's okay. But that's why I dashed and didn't come back.
No worries.
So
I saw the thing in after like a solid second or two of silence. I just glanced at the Discord and saw your message, and it was like, "Oh yeah, large dogs now." And
yeah,
so you're good. Life happens to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, in game, I did some PowerPlay on foot missions, like on purpose, because Audaxius kind of tricked me into doing it, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm going to try this out, and just, if I'm going to whine and bitch about it, I may as well know what I'm whining and bitching about.
Right.
And the thing is, the like deposit malware or download stuff missions, I actually think they're okay. The merit pay is pretty good for how long it takes to do if you kind of have the equipment and kind of have a plan for what you're doing. And you can kind of do everything at the same time, right? If you're told to download things, you can upload stuff to them at the same time or vice versa. And, grab a terminal, look for the PowerPlay containers, grab that stuff if you got it. Some of that stuff is worth a shitload of merits when you turn it in. And then the bonus was in the order of like 4,800 or 5,000 merits for completing like 10 of those. So yeah, I think that's actually okay. On the same week, in the same system, I was told to do crimes. I needed to rack up 150,000 credits worth of bounties. Just said do crimes. So I, while I was doing this PowerPlay stuff, I just murdered everybody I saw. And because I know it's actually pretty tough to earn, I find it pretty tough to earn a bounty in ships, especially if you're trying to avoid notoriety. It is like 100, like to get up to those kind of numbers I was being asked to get, ridiculous. So I thought, well, on foot, I'm pretty sure you get more, which you do. So shooting a ship, you get like 150 credits, even if it's like system security.
Right.
So I was sitting there like 150 credits, getting, just not killing anybody, but just trying to like stay alive and shoot as many system security as I can. It was getting pretty hairy pretty quick. So it was like, whatever. It's much easier if I just kill everybody here anyway. So I'll just eat the notoriety. But after like running through like 3 settlements, killing everybody and doing all my downloading and stuff, I was only like halfway done earning that bounty still, and I had like 6 notoriety already. So once again,
you don't realize
complaining
how many
about
you're getting.
Well, but this is the thing. Like, where's my fucking bounties? Like, once again, I'm going to complain about crime and punishment in this game. They're not punishing me nearly enough. The notoriety is out of control. The bounties, like, honestly, like, they think these people's lives are not worth very much money, but they'll give me the notoriety about it. So anyway, whatever. I didn't complete that one because it was ridiculous. So anyway, that's my story.
Nice.
But PowerPlay on foot stuff is actually okay. So there. I'm not exactly sure if I was trying to think about how to steer where the control points go. That's probably trickier, you know, because like if I collect PowerPlay items, I'm bringing them back to my systems to turn in. Are they credited to the system I got it from? I mean, I hope so, but the merits don't show up until I get back. So I mean, I assume that stuff is working the way it's supposed to, but it would be nicer if it somehow clued you in. I don't know what it would say. Like when it pops up the 1,000 merits earned, tell me that, like right there, that message could just have a system name in it, right? I think that would be a good change. I'm just riffing right now. I hadn't thought about this before. Anyway, who else existed last week and wants to tell me about it?
Oh, I existed. I'm freaking tired. So something I failed to mention last week is that we have paid for it. My wife has signed up and is going back to school again to get her certificate for a medical assistant as well. Because at least in our area, they don't just want phlebotomists. They want phlebotomists that are also MAs. So she's going back to school for that again, and she's extremely excited about it.
Just finished the thing? Was it school or was it like a cert program or something?
The phlebotomy was a cert program. The medical assisting is more school-like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's very excited about that and really jonesing to get into that career because she's been doing nothing but like caregiving for various children and adults that have issues caring for themselves for just as long as I've been in IT, so 20 plus years. Wow. And she's just so burnt out on that and ready to just change course. So I'm very happy for her, really excited for her, and we're both already exhausted. It's hilarious.
And a good MA is worth her weight in gold.
Yes.
I mean, I love my MA.
Oh, good. I will pass that along.
Yeah, I have two. Depends on which day of the week and which one's assigned to me, but they're both great. And I mean, I could not be more grateful when I have one of them helping me out. So
awesome.
I thought
that'll totally hype her up.
I honestly thought phlebotomy was about killing flowers.
No, that's floristbotomy.
Florist phlebotomy.
Yes, there. Yeah, he's
easily
confused. Yeah,
phlebotomy.
Hold on. Oh, holy crap! In game,
there's a bunch of dads in here, isn't there?
Correct.
Somebody's got to name these episodes.
Yep. They're not going to name themselves.
In game, I have done literally nothing. I haven't. It's the busy time of the year for work for me. Winter and spring always is, because if our backup alarms and light bars and whatever other warning lights are gonna break, it's gonna be during winter and spring, and it's either frozen or really wet. And so it's just been crazy at work. So I haven't flown at all because I've been so tired. Plus, I have been trying to save all of the space madness for the upcoming trip that we will be discussing later.
All of the T is for those of you in the listening audience.
All the tea, yes, the tea. I don't know what that was. Someone else talk.
Grover, it's been a while. What you been up to?
Yes, what's up, Grover?
It has been a while. I did exist last week, and I exist tomorrow as well, currently. And I'm supposed to be working because it's work time for me. It's nearly 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, but yeah, that's why I'm here.
3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday is not work time.
Yeah, correct. This is the way.
Yeah. And we're actually coming up to a long weekend. So we've got Monday off as well. So we're off to the beach for a night on Sunday. So we get a couple of days at the beach. And come back sunburned. And so that's about all we're doing at the moment. Although my girls were supposed to be on TV last night, but hopefully this afternoon she'll be on at about 4:00 because apparently letter writing is so rare now that they need to make a news story out of it.
What writing?
Yeah, so tell us how this whole thing unfolded. I mean, because I'm sure it's not embargoed, or anything.
No. It's it kind of helps that my niece is in charge of the news for one of our news services. But
an inside job.
Yeah, my daughter was really getting into Moana 3, and it was created it was released in New Zealand, both in English and Māori. So lately, a lot of the Disney movies have been translated and been voiced by Māori actors. With awesome. Moana 3, a lot of the actual actors from the English version also did the Māori version because they're from New Zealand
cool.
She really likes one of the characters, and she recognized her from doing the Māori version of Frozen. So she decided we got her to write a letter to her so she could send it to her. And my family works in the kind of the entertainment kind of media business, a lot of them. So I hit them up, said, who knows Awhi Mai Fraser's address? We want to send a letter to her. And my niece came back saying, oh, can we do a story about this? So that's how it ended up. They came the other day, filmed for about an hour, and it was supposed to be on last night, but got bumped for other news. And so tonight, hopefully. So that's cool.
Really neat.
Yeah. And in-game, I've been just exploring. Finally reached a kind of waypoint that I've been... Because I left my exploration, shot back to the bubble to shoot the last Titan, and then neutroned back to where I kind of left off, and then started heading towards my carrier. So finally met up with my carrier and offloaded all my data, and then saw this awesome kind of vista and one of the POIs that are out there. But I'm heading toward Magellan Star, so that's the easternmost star that you can get to, and it's starting to get difficult to navigate, I think. It's just with the stars are getting few and far between, and I'm having to start to use a bit of jumponium, so should be fun. But I'm hoping that I'll be done in time, be able to come back, jump across one of the arms, and meet up with the any of the distance cruise people that are heading out east.
Oh, I'll be out there. You'll find me out there. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's me.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'll definitely post the link when she gets her broadcast. So
yeah, should be on YouTube. So I'll definitely post it.
Excellent.
How about you, Oblivious?
Well, in real life, I've been just trying to stay warm.
Poor baby.
Yeah, I see all the minus teams out there that some of our folks on the Discord put out there. But for you guys, I moved to the South for a reason, and I don't like being cold. Anyway, in game, standard BGS management stuff going on, and doing various power play 2 activities, as long as it involved combat. I did join Adaxis and Trax and Barrymar when they did the foot stuff, but I wasn't on foot. There's reason for that. I got in the free cam and was following them around, and it was wild. It was like I was running Overwatch. It was kind of cool going that route. Let's see. And I've also been playing with VPN and Elite, trying to mitigate a bug in the game that we can talk about now or later if anybody's interested.
As far as I'm concerned, jumping in now is perfectly fine because that could be the next thing we do here.
All right. So some background. There is a bug in a game affecting PowerPlay that.
This wouldn't be the one that I claimed was fixed last week, would it?
Well, it got. I was right there with you saying it is fixed, but apparently it's intermittent. So you want to go do a PowerPlay CZ, and you are in open, and you jump.
Yeah, you want to do it in open because you're not a turd.
That's right. Plus, you have that added advantage in open. If you wing up with somebody, then everybody gets double credits and benefits your power even more. So it's a force multiplier going that route. So you definitely want to go that way. But we jump into a power CZ and no ship spawn.
And this is after a couple of days of it working quite well, and that's why I didn't just make up that it was fixed. It was not announced. It was just we noticed it was working.
For some of us, there were still some that were saying, well, it's not working for me. And I remember it was working for a bunch of us on the East Coast, and Adaxis is out there on the left coast. It wasn't working for at all. So there is a ticket on it. It's been open, I think, since the beginning of November. And I went
since PowerPlay started.
To say, I can reproduce it as well. And I read one ticket that said, hey, if you turn port forwarding off, it seems to mitigate it a little bit, and maybe you can do something with a VPN. Well, that stirred my interest. I went and turned port forwarding off, and that made no difference at all. It still wasn't working. Still wasn't working. And so then I tried the VPN situation. And so set up a VPN, started hitting different VPN sites in North America, Canada, and Central America. Still wasn't working. As soon as I went to South America, then I was able to get in open.
That is so weird.
Right. Then I invited one of our North American, Barrymore. I invited him to come in. He did not have to wing up with me. All he had to do was show up, and he could get into the instance, and it was working for him as well. Then we brought a third, and it was working for him. What doesn't work, though, is if you are the VPN anchor, you can't wing up with anybody from North America that jumps into that particular instance. Everybody from North America that jumps into that instance can wing up with each other, but the VPN anchor can't. So pretty weird.
Rats.
That seriously, that's just going through my IT guy brain, and that is just so freaking weird,
Yes.
I got nothing other than that. It's weird.
I'm just gonna nod knowingly because I got nothing else.
Yeah, so that's been a bug since the beginning. It has only affected North America, and there was a little I remember at the beginning there was a little confusion with some people saying possibly that they could get it to work, but I think it was pretty quickly we decided that it just absolutely only in solo, but only for North America people. So that message took a little while to get around to we at the Loose Screws, since we are for the most part in North America. But why was it here for a second and then went away? I'm anxiously awaiting some.
It feels like a load balancing server load issue.
I mean, I think the jump times and the limpets and not updating the cargo manifests and stuff like that, that feels like load balancing. I don't really see how this would be load balancing. It seems more like the way that the Thargoid heart bug turned out to be something to do with physical location on the Earth.
Right.
So there's something in the net code that refers to that, but anyway.
I guess I mean from a load balancing standpoint, and load balancing as far as how they position the various servers around the globe and which ones you hit. So I'm in my mind, the servers that Central and North America utilize, there's something going on specific with that server set that's not being felt anywhere else in the other servers around the world.
Yeah. Huh.
Strange one. Anyway, Mr.
I blame
Bloomington,
Amazon Web Services.
do they still use Amazon Web Service? I thought they went to somebody else.
Yeah.
No, as far as I know, they're still on AWS.
It's AWS.
Gotcha.
They certainly haven't said that they did anything different.
And if they did have to migrate to a new provider, I'm sure that would be a very long downtime. So, speaking from experience there.
Yep. Hey, ho, those Raven tunnels got to go.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, let's see it, guys. On that note,
Blooms?
Blooming wind.
Hello.
Did we not? I'm so sorry.
We went right over it.
It's okay.
What an asshole. I wonder why I thought that. It's probably because I'm an asshole, as I've said.
Also because we bounced around the alphabet. We didn't go in alphabetical order.
Usually I start at the top or the bottom and just work my way through. But anyway, this is why I don't always launch into myself right away. I figured I should talk about this broken toe business, and it just threw my whole night off. And I shouldn't have gone wild on you guys.
It's okay. We kind of did like a weave. We wove through everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Once Bloomington doesn't have to come first.
I'm doing good.
Right.
I had a nasty cold last week. That got better. Now my mom has the nasty cold, unfortunately. But life in our household's getting slowly settled down. We're making plans for my mom to move down here, so we're all going up to Philadelphia mid-February to do all the things that we're supposed to do up there. So it was a lot of fun asking my peeps at work to make arrangements to rearrange my schedule, which worked out very nicely. Thank goodness for President's Day. Because there's a rule at the VA that if you cancel a clinic closer than 45 days in advance, it better be an emergency. So, like, if you're sick today, you can cancel your clinic. But if you're planning on advance, oh my gosh, I got to do this, thing where I got to go to Philly or whatnot, they're going to be very cross with you. You can make it happen, but they'll be very cross with you because what happens is there's some lazy people in government who will cancel stuff, and just kind of, there was this guy in Chattanooga who he had his entire clinic was like a perpetual motion machine of canceling and rescheduling, and he never actually saw patients. And he was a part-timer who was only working for the government one day a week. This was many, many, many years ago. And we figured it all out, and that guy got canned. And I mean, but it was just like this. We were looking at it, and we wept at the beauty of the fraud. I mean, because it was just like, gosh. I mean, because this was just like, this guy is a piece of work. I mean, and he was able to get away with it until somebody noticed. And once we noticed, we nailed him to the wall. Yeah, but anyway, so my clinic is on Mondays. So President's Day is a federal holiday. So I'm already off on Monday. So we were able to make the whole trip built around President's Day weekend. And also my son's going to go up for a few days of it too. And because he likes coming up to Philly with us. And so we're going to make a little trip out of it too. So that's personal life. Work life. I am perpetually on call this month. Which is a lot of fun because as my kids are graduating in May. And so when they made the schedule, I said, don't give me any inpatient stuff in May. So they put it all in January. So that's been busy. It works. I mean, I can't complain.
Okay.
This didn't plan for, life-changing events happening, but, it's all working all right. And then in game, I've been working on the Operation New Horizons, which is sort of our getting ready for colonization. And I've spent so much time in a system called Sago that I'm sick of being in this system called Sago. But the nice thing is, in this little corner of the bubble, there are many systems with pristine rings, so that if you're mining, there's a lot of nearby mining that's just really good mining. So our new neighborhood that we're going to be developing has some nice places to shoot at rocks. So that was exciting to discover while I was working out there. And that's been my in-game stuff.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we
Or
should move
I
on
got
to
a
the
real
squad
time.
stuff. What do you say?
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Can you hear me?
Oh, my joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
One more thing. One more thing to add in real life, real time, happening right now. That I was stumbling through my explanation of the power CZ bug because my wife was trying to communicate something to me.
I could tell something was going on in the background there.
I'm trying to wave her off without getting her pissed off at me. But apparently,
Well
my son-in-law is traveling back from New York, trying to make his way back to Savannah. They got 5 inches of snow. Savannah,
woof.
Georgia, 5 inches of snow, and that airport's closed down. So we managed to get a flight into Augusta, Georgia, and rented a car. They gave him a reservation. Well, he's landed in Augusta, and they've sold out all the cars, even though he had a reservation. And now he's stuck overnight in Augusta. So,
Lovely.
That sucks.
And he can't even golf.
No,
Because of the snow.
golf this time of year because it's been snowing in Augusta too. So
Exactly.
yeah, I hate winter. Okay.
Now he has a reservation.
Yeah, I guess. Yes.
Is this your whole Steinfeld routine? I'm like, I have a reservation for a rental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably.
Took his reservation, let him fly down there. He's stuck. And yeah, they're not offering to buy him a hotel room. So anyway.
There's a lot of that goes on in that whole industry where, yeah, they'll like overbook flights and somehow this is like, okay. I don't know.
It's not okay.
Like, it's not okay. It's not okay.
They act like it's okay, but it's not okay. Well, though, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of okay, what's going on in the squad update?
What update? Is there music for that?
There he is, and I might be able to do it. Give me a sec.
Have you uploaded it? Have you uploaded it? Looks like he did it.
He did?
Push it again, Lark. Sometimes when you push it the first time, he just joins.
Incoming priority message. Squadron briefing.
I'm so damn happy.
Hell
That was
yeah.
beautiful.
You could do this as a solo podcast one of these days, Lark.
You guys don't want the Asp Scout podcast. Don't do that to yourselves.
I kind of do. I really kind of do. All right. So we're still working on the same things that we've been working on. We're in a war in TT 58343. There may or may not be organized opposition versus some Fed neck pew-pews. So we want to fight in that system and win. Maikoro and NLTT are 2 systems we're also trying to retake. And besides that, we're just beating down our overheating systems, or we're actually not beating down our overheating systems as much as we'd like to, because they just don't seem to listen to us beating them down.
We're trying to beat down our
We're
overheating
trying, but it
systems.
doesn't work.
Almost like a whole system of PowerPlay was just deposited on top of the BGS system, and somebody
It's
just
weird,
declared that it was going to have no effect on BGS.
I love
Like
that.
saying it makes it true.
As far as
Yeah.
I know, this will have no effect. Also, I've never done that, so I don't really know.
They didn't say
Yes,
that
that's
last
right.
part.
And then Operation New Horizons, our expansion to colonization program, is slowly making progress. Our biggest project will be expanding out of semichemics, but we can't do that if everything else is overheating unless we overheat semichemics hotter than everything else, which I think we're ultimately going to have to do. But since like trillions of people live there, it's going to be a slow burn. And then, if there are conflicts we're interested in winning, we'll let you know. And other than that, we're just kind of listing them in the standing orders for if you're really bored. But the stuff with little icons is more interesting to us than the stuff without. So If you have any questions, please reach out to us in the Loose Screws faction channels of the Discord, and all the details are in the standing orders. That's all we got for squad update.
Thank you very much. And as far as PowerPlay is concerned, all right, here's the update. The battle for Bumber. If you want to PowerPlay with most of us here in the Loose Screws Discord, right now, Leong Ri is fighting for Bumber. That's what we've decided is our most interesting target right now for this particular day. And that conversation was happening a few minutes ago, and I don't think there's like any kind of post formulated yet, but that's going to be the gist of it.
All we know is it got the FedNeck's attention, and here we are.
Yeah, I think they've been hammering on Bumber for a little while, and it hasn't quite crossed into control yet. So I think it's for acquisition, and it seems that in the last couple of days, Archer PowerPlay has noticed and started competing for it. So it's heating up over in Bumber.
Well, Bumber's a good system too. So I mean,
great system.
That's what I've heard.
And it's one of ours.
Yeah. Galnet news. Nope, there is no. I see what you did here, Lark. There is no Galnet news because listing how many systems each power owns is not only almost completely irrelevant to PowerPlay, but it's stupid, and you could just read it off the Gal map, and it's very stupid. And pretending
that's fair.
FDev pretending that is a Galnet update is weird. Imagine you're running the newspaper in the Spider-Man universe there, and you're gonna publish an issue, and the only thing it's got in it is which gang leaders around New York have more or less territory than they had the week before. That is fucked up no matter how you spin it. And I'm not going to hear anything different.
Yeah.
No, you could just say Rui's in the top 5 of all top 5 powers out there.
Okay, great.
And Archer is not. Screw Archer.
Oh my God.
Now, you wouldn't say that this is a player-driven story?
What story? It's a list.
You're a player-driven story.
If they want to start writing prose about it, like the thing about Soul, that was them seeing something that's happening and spinning a little story about it. That's cool. Yeah. Absolutely 2 thumbs up. Love it. Writing down the numbers is not. Nope, that's nothing. That's nothing.
We'll turn them into a sea shanty.
There you go.
Go ahead. Set it to rhyme, and then we'll talk. But for now,
all right. Next time we publish it, challenge accepted.
Okay.
Now you don't look forward to the AP Top 25 football poll on Sundays after college football Saturday? No, you're from Ohio. Of course not.
Yeah, I mean the answer to that question is no. But like, to be fair, it's not because of where I live. It's just because I don't care. But anyway,
champion.
The PowerPlay system is gangsters, though. They're not a sports team. I care far more about buckyball or elite racers race standings. That's sports. That's your sports analogy. I care way more about that. And if that goes into Galnet as just a list of finishing places, I'd be like, oh, wow, look what they did. Look what Frontier did to acknowledge the wild amount of community participation that goes into things like buckyball and the elite racers. Huh? Yep. That would be great.
Make that rhyme.
Oh, frick.
Anyway. Dev news. Nope, none of that either. No, there's new ship kits for Mamba and like 4 other ships. And I forget which ones. Forgive me.
I'm looking them up. I didn't know it was more than just Mamba.
Oh yeah. Mamba was the one pictured, but like the Cobra 3 and a few other things, none of the new ships are included.
Yeah, because people still fly the Cobra 3. Give me a break.
Yeah, they seem to be like racing related things, right? Like the paints are very stripy, like racers. That was my take on it when I glanced at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. Anyway, this happened. I don't care to talk about it. We were discussing in about the ship kits that they cost like over 16,000 arcs. These ones come with like 6 paint jobs and only a couple of ship kit pieces. So I think as the averages go, you're paying for a lot more paints with that pack than ship kit, but I don't know. They're kind of cool. They've got the weird like trapezoidal cheeks on the ship again. Like every ship kit for the past year has these like trapezoidal cheeks that like what is going on with
someone at FDev is
the
really
designers
excited to give all the ships whiskers.
They're so worked up about it. I just don't I don't know what to do.
One thing I do like on the new Mamba ship kit though is it has those little pylons off the edges of the wings, giving it a sort of Star Trek type look, especially if you don't put the front fins on.
Yeah, I dig the wing bit, but like I'm getting a little sick of buying a ship kit and not having anything that I even remotely like on the, I don't know what they call it, nose or bow or whatever
in
piece.
Aviation, we call it a canard wing, all the way up at the front.
Okay. Well, we're in space, motherfucker. So
it can be a canard in space.
It could. I mean, I don't know why it would be called anything different. Anyway.
I'm just saying.
That's what you got to look forward to next year. They're going to take all of their horizontal canards and turn them vertical.
Now a vertical canard I can really get behind. Don't you guys agree?
Well, if it's vertical, it's a rudder.
I swear, Lark.
I'll stop. I'm sorry. I'm having a great time.
I'm gonna stick it right in your canard is probably what I should have said. Okay, so anyway, that's it. So discussion. So when we last left our heroes, so to speak, when I dashed away so ineloquently from the show last week, I listened back. You guys, did a okay. I was going to try to say you did a good job. So here's the thing: a bunch of stuff that you said was pretty much true.
I mean, you left it in the hands of the anti-meta guy. You were going to get what you were going to get.
We're in the top 5% of all module review.
Okay, we sort of picking up there. You were talking about, and I can't remember. Oh, you know what it was? It was because of the Concord cannon, right? Which I don't have either.
The Concord cannon, yes. I was wrong the numbers, about the rapid fire.
Well, it's right. It's the way rapid fire mod works. It does not speed up the burst rate. So it doesn't make, like when a burst happens, it doesn't speed up how quickly that burst happens, which I know because I've messed with rapid fire quite a bit on a bunch of different guns. And on, like with burst lasers, for example, the larger the burst laser, the smaller the burst and the more spread out it is, to the extent where the size 4 only fires 3 bolts, but it takes more than a full second to fire all 3 bolts. It's like almost completely unusable. And that's why. It's because that spaced out like way that it is. And if you put rapid fire on them, you're shortening the time between when you can pull the trigger. Right? So it's still you can almost pull the trigger, you can almost start the other burst faster with a full rapid fire mod than it takes for the burst to happen. It's sort of weird on that gun. So I'm assuming, because it seems to work the same across the board, that if you put rapid fire on a Concord cannon, you would be shortening the time between trigger pulls, but it's like I don't know if should I look up the numbers. Anyway, I haven't flown with the Concord cannon because I haven't unlocked it yet. It looks like it's probably pretty good. The damage numbers look kind of excellent. It's like on the level of a fixed version of the cannon. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm not like banging down the door or anything because I do like my fixed guns. Not being beholden to chaff is nice. And generally, you know, I like the higher ammo. With cannons, you also get a higher ammo count and a higher magazine size, as well as the additional damage from fixed. So anyway, with the Conquer cannon, it's a little faster shot speed too. There's a lot of good to say. It looks like they maybe made it actually a pretty special gun there with the Conquered cannon, just on paper.
And a little note about cannons, especially gimbaled ones, when the person you're firing at is popping that glitter, you actually, because of how the ships are set up and because you know where the cannon's going to be firing, if you untarget them, you can still just fire away at them without having them targeted, and it just fires straight ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, it's tricky because you don't have a reticle. Now with lasers, it's a hit scan weapon, so it's great. That's great to do with lasers. With anything with a travel time, it gets a lot less good because when you untarget, you don't get that indication of that responds to the relative distance and velocity between your ships, right?
Yeah, that's more of a move like if you're in a joust and they're coming right at you and you know you can hit them anyways, just untarget and open fire. There you go.
Yeah, that could work. That could work, but yeah. Okay. Am I right in remembering did you guys skip the pacifier?
We did that for you.
All right. The final gun. This is the best power play weapon. And the thing is, it was kind of the best power play module before, but it was a little bit hard to use, and then the Python Mark II came out. And it has 4 size 3 mounts. Oh my lord. Okay. So do we need to talk about what a frag cannon is and does?
Yeah, we got a lot of new folks.
It's a shotgun.
Our space shotgun.
Yeah. So it fires 12 pellets. So when you see the damage number, like if the on the stat sheet of a fragment cannon, and it says it's like 5 damage or something, you know, that's times 12 because it's 12 pellets. But the thing about the frag cannon is the jitter on those things is like 5 degrees, which essentially that's a way of them measuring it. But essentially it's just a spread fire. You know, it's like a wide, almost an area effect gun.
Yep.
And the shot speed's pretty slow. They are a lot of damage, but they're useless until you're very, very up close.
It is very much a brawler weapon.
Yeah. The pacifier frag cannon does so what it does, it's a fixed size 3. It's only fixed, it's only size 3, but it does 150% projectile speed and 150% of the maximum range.
Whoa.
And it reduces the jitter to 1.7 degrees.
Frick, I need to get me some of those.
You do.
Okay. So this tightens it up a lot. It goes a lot faster, and the damage fall off is gone. Like the damage fall off goes all the way out to the end of its range. So you sacrifice a bit of overall damage output. It does 87% of the theoretical DPS of the equivalent fragment cannon, except here's the thing: you're never landing all those pellets with the regular fragment cannon because the jitter's too wide and the thing is too slow. So the pacifier is just amazing. It's ridiculous. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say. It's great, and it fits great on a Python. Use all 4. I routinely use them on the 3 mounts on the top, and I put something else, maybe with a gimbal on the bottom. Usually multi-cannons these days. But yeah,
I'm curious.
Just raw damage is incredible.
I'm curious about something on that. Mm-hmm. How much do you laugh like a maniac while you're using them on a Python Mark II?
It's fun.
I mean, it looks cool. You know, frags are so spread out that I think they they end up kind of not looking all that cool. And this thing is almost like shooting sort of a glittery blob at the enemy. You know, it's so much narrower and tighter. It is very cool. It's a very cool gun. But so then the typical thing, you know, it has a 3-round magazine and doesn't use a lot of energy because it's pure kinetic. You can put a incendiary experimental effect on it if you want it to be 50% thermal. Overcharged is usually best. There's also some frag cannons have a weird mod called double shot that no other gun has.
I love double shot.
Where if you max, you know, G5 it actually fires. It'll fire 6 rounds. Basically, every trigger pull fires 2 rounds, and there will be 6 in the magazine. So you consume your ammo twice as fast, but you do twice the damage if you can land all those shots. And that's where it gets tricky. So ultimately, like, that's probably the highest raw DPS theoretically, but overcharged ends up working better because you can be more deliberate about when you're actually pulling the trigger. And, you know, imagine shooting this thing at small ships. It can be tough. So yeah, generally go with overcharged. And
so here's why I love double shot so much.
Because you're Lark. Because you're Lark.
Well, yeah, but so the way I fly, I'm not FA off all the time. I generally have FA on unless I'm in a really, really tough fight. And so because of that, I generally end up in jousting matches just because that's how the ships fly when you're FA on. And the reason I love double shot so much is on that pass, I'm hitting them with a full magazine usually, and usually hitting most of the pellets because I wait to fire until they're real close. And if you put screening shell on it as well, you're not only reloading faster, but you're blowing up whatever missiles they're flinging at your ship because your shields are down. Which that actually happened to me the other day. And I was quite tickled watching their missiles blow up when I had no point defense on that ship.
Yeah, that's the ones that I have on my Python. I have overcharged with screening shell, and the thing is, like, I've used screening shell before. Honestly, never for the thing that it says it's supposed to be, is to be able to target munitions like that, target and destroy munitions.
Yeah, that's tangential to what it actually does.
It's like, yeah, everybody kind of was like, yeah, but the point is it cuts your magazine reload time in half from like,
right.
It goes down to like 3 seconds from 6 or something, which can be pretty meaningful in the fight.
Big difference, because that means you're usually reloaded by the time you turn around.
Yeah, it's really helpful. But when I was doing PowerPlay kills not that long ago, I'm shooting at some helpless transport ships, right? And their mines are just all exploding as they drop them, probably damaging the ship because I'm hitting them. I'm just laying into them with this like wall of frag cannon pellets.
Was damaging their ship. I use mines to bomb settlements because the AOE is just so big.
Yeah. But there's lots. I mean, good, helpful drag munitions. Is that what it's called? You can put on them.
Yeah, I have that on my normal frags on my scout.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a time-based thing. It locks their engine distributor at 0 pips or something like that.
Yes, that is correct. And for ships that are more maneuverable than you, if you can nail that shot with the drag munitions or whatever it's called, it slows them down just long enough for you to get on their tail, and then you can stay there because then you can just really lay into them.
Yeah, and you keep repeating it. Yeah,
it's great.
Lots of good things. Probably that one incendiary, or the you know, the screening shell for the speed of it. I do, if I'm going to use screening shell, this is the thing, you kind of want them all to have it though, because they want to line up, right, and be reloaded together. So it's like, I like my screening shell, but I'm having to get up putting drag on any of them. But anyway, Okay, so that's the pacifier frag cannon. That's the best one, and it's got so much new life. But it's it's also can be very good on Krites or the Chieftain. The Vulture was really excellent with it. Yeah, but the
Mamba?
Python is the king.
With pacifiers on a Vulture, you're flying a punching bag, basically.
Mamba it's interesting you bring that up. So I had this build with a Mamba a while ago where I did use a pacifier, just one though. The Mamba's a good one to put frag cannons on. You see this with like ganker ships where it's all like gimbaled frags, even the smalls, like every single hard point, and it's just essentially blasting them and ramming the ship and all this stuff. I had done this thing. The Mamba is so wide that pacifiers are pretty useless on it.
Oh, is it really that far apart?
It's so wide. So the size 3s on the Mamba are way out on the wings, and it's like it's wide to the extent where like you can't make contact with more than one gun on like a Python 1. Python Classic, it's really wide. So I had this build where the middle gun and the right side gun had plasma accelerators and the left had a pacifier. So I would like fire the plasmas and then lean my ship over to the right to line up the pacifier and fire 3 quick rounds with that on a joust pass,
Nice.
But it's tricky. And then I had like rail guns in the smalls for doing like long range shots, and it was really complicated, and I don't like doing that anymore. I like one fire group, 2 triggers. If I can't fit whatever gun setup I want to use into that, I'm not using it.
It's like me when I tried the freaking size 3 plasmas on a clipper, and I had them each on one of the mouse buttons and turrets on one of them as well, so I could just concentrate on nailing the plasma shots, and it was just so hard.
I did that with a Vulture one time where Vulture just has the 2 size 3 guns, right? But I put them each on a trigger, and I used advanced plasmas, which have the like three times higher fire rate for about 36% of the damage or something. But a Vulture is probably maybe one of the only ships where you could actually keep those shots on target, because you can just like stick to almost any ship's engines.
Yep.
And I was just alternating to keep the distributor draw and the heat under control, right? So it wasn't firing them both at the same time, kind of like we do with like Thargoid fighting or something. It's like alternating triggers. And the advanced plasma has like a 20 round magazine, so it's just like this wall of plasma. Anyway, it's kind of fun, but it wasn't like really good or anything.
Right.
Ultimately, it was just sort of for the sillies. So there.
The sillies, when I was flying a Mamba, that actually reminded me when I was flying a Mamba a lot more. You had mentioned how those size 3s on the pylons are just so far apart. And so I actually put gimbaled burst lasers out there to get shields down. And then I had a huge cannon that was engineered for long range. And on the smalls, I had 2 small cannons engineered for short range. So they all fired at approximately the same speed.
Yeah.
Would they?
Yeah.
It worked great when it worked, but it took a lot.
They're still pretty wide, but yeah. I've done Mambas with, you got to lean into the asymmetry of it, right?
Yep.
So I had like my rapid fire pulse. I love rapid fire pulse lasers. I had a size 3 on one side, and then the 2 smalls on the Mamba in the front were pulse lasers also. And those can be gimbaled. And then the middle and the left, or the middle and the other side are cannons. And that, you can connect the either, left or right and the center gun. You can connect those on like most ships, all but the smallest ships. So that's fine. But you have to like accept that your ship layout isn't symmetrical as far as the guns are concerned, which is totally fine with me, and it drives some people crazy, right?
That's the reason I'm no longer using a Mamba.
Yeah. But the new ships are very symmetrical.
Yes.
So there's that. Okay. Well, that's all the PowerPlay guns, and so then the last thing was just about the prismatic shields. The prismatic shields. Why
Yes.
don't my browser's back button won't work? This is that thing where in the background the website like reloads itself like 100 times, probably so that the website can count that as more ad impressions. It's driving me crazy.
I honestly refuse to use websites regularly that do that because it's just so annoying.
For a while, it was just on your phone. Like I still see it constantly on my phone. Like I'm in the middle of reading an article because it's so obvious when it reloads and it like scrolls you back up to the top and then back down to where you were for a second. I'm like, why are you hiding from me? Drives me nuts. But now I'm noticing it on desktop too.
So we did talk about prismatics. I may not have been the best person to talk about them because I don't use prismatics the way you're supposed to use prismatics.
Well, there's a few good ways to use them. If you can put them undersized on a ship like an exploration ship, it can be quite good for, because you pack a lot of shield into a small space. You're trying to use a small slot. I've done the undersized on like a mining vessel too. Not that I do mining anymore, but back when I did, I had like a size 3 shield on a Python or something.
Nice.
And if it's prismatic, it has enough to get you out of trouble. But the main deal is like where a Biweave has lower overall strength. In fact, it's C rated. The prismatic they are A rated, but they have even more strength for even less recharge. So yeah, it's just what it sounds like. What's interesting, I think, about them is the distributor draw, I think, is a little lower than like a Biweave ends up having a kind of an extremely high distributor draw when it's charging.
It's sucking your distributor inside out every time it needs to recharge.
Whereas, and I know I've said before, like I use low draw as the experimental on every single shield I build nowadays. When you put low draw on your prismatic, and everybody uses high cap because they're trying to get, bigger number better. But you put low draw on a prismatic and it just sips distributor. Because the thing is, like, think about it this way. You're not actually thinking that your prismatic is going to recharge during a fight. The recharge is so slow that you don't even think about that.
I don't at all. I treat it like a Star Trek shield. If it's down, I'm moving the pips and turning the module off.
But if it's not down, it is drawing distributor. Like, you're not thinking about it recharging, but it doesn't care if you're thinking about it. It's still going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just sits there draining your distributor, which is going to cause you problems when you go to fire your chaff and you can't or whatever, right? So that low draw is meaningful, and I mean it when I say on every shield, even the ones that are supposed to be ridiculously high megajoule shields. I think it's worth the distributor draw in a fight more than, whatever it is, 3% more to your total shield. But yeah, like the build ends up being kind of totally different in combat situations because you're going for that higher number compared to a Biweave where you kind of want your number to be lower because the recharge speed is the benefit. So you build it out of resistances. With a prismatic, sure, your resistances help, but you get that main raw shield up higher to begin with, and then you're kind of good to go. So anyway, whatever. I don't have to rehash the whole thing, but
right.
Yeah, there are ways to do it. They're heavier. What's weird about using them in an exploration build is they're heavier than a normal A-rated shield by a significant amount.
There's a lot of explorer ships that they're putting heavy duty onto A-rated shields instead, specifically because the prismatic is just huge in the weight.
It can be, and actually I did that when exploring in a small ship too. That was the only time I've used a regular A-rated shield and not a Biweave. But with something large or something medium-sized or large, you can fit like a prismatic, and sometimes you would have to engineer it for like reinforced or whatever on a different ship and then move it onto your Anaconda or whatever, because before it's engineered, it won't let you load it onto the Anaconda because it's like way below the minimum mass or whatever.
The mechanic got it down
below the max mass. I think so. Like I don't build a lot of anacondas. I don't know if anybody's told
I
you,
mean,
but
that's fair.
but
You
it may be
actually
one of
don't
those
use
things.
a lot of large ships, do you?
No, they don't turn very fast, guy.
Okay, sorry, just observation on my part. Carry on.
Yeah. So blah blah blah. The prismatic is the tough shield. It's kind of important in certain situations, but most of the time I end up going for a Biweave instead. But I don't do a ton of PvP stuff. If I did, I might be switching to prismatic more often.
And that's where the real
Because-
utility, though, is, right? Is with PvP.
Maybe
where
like
the raw hit points matter.
when we were like when I was doing stronghold carrier assaults here, if I was by myself, I did it with a prismatic shield. It was because it was
Right.
kind of a survival game. There's no completion condition of that raid. You just stay in as long as you can. So the largest shield I can fit and a bunch of cell banks, and I stay in until they run out, until my shield gets down to like 20%, and then I bail or whatever it is. But PvP, and that's because like when your shield goes down, your opponent starts sniping your modules. Can't protect yourself from that in any meaningful way. So you got to keep that shield up.
Freaking module snipers. I say
Well-
being a module sniper.
Or get it, or get the Biweave that's going to come back soon enough.
Right.
There's legitimate arguments on both sides, but
And that's what makes it interesting, honestly. To me.
but if you're competitive with it, if you can stay alive long enough, then you can make either one, I think, work. So anyway,
Nice.
And it's working on the Phantom Mark II build right now with the
Python, you
threaders.
mean?
Yeah, the Python, right? You're using that on your build. I'm using it on mine.
I
Are
was
you?
swapping back and forth. I have my Python right now. I mean, I can look at it. Well, right now I'm certain I have the Biweave on it because it's kind of small. If I'm not, it's high resistance, small Biweave. I'm not saying I undersized it. I'm saying it's kind of a big ship. So
Right.
where the heck is my ship? Here we go.
Yeah, my Python has Biweave too. My Python Mark II. So
I always default to Biweave. I was swapping in the prismatic when doing the carrier raid things. I think that's the only time I've used it. And to do it, with 6 shield boosters on that ship,
Yeah.
I was needing to change the power plant out for an overcharged
a
power
lot
plant.
of shield boosters. Holy crap.
Yeah. So which is why, and then when I'm not doing that, I don't want to leave the ship that way. So I flipped it back and put the armored power plant in.
Walking up the ramp to the ship. Why is it 83 degrees in my starship?
Yeah, but I left the cell banks in there. I use a cell bank on Biweave shields. Not everybody does that.
I
They
did.
definitely do that.
I was surprised it wasn't generating that much heat when you fired it off too. So
Yeah, so let's see. My cell bank, well, this is the specialized with boss cells. So that's going to be the least heat problem. That's the version of the mod that has the least heat because it takes longer to expend that heat into your ship. Whereas if you're a PvP person, then you want the fast shield cell bank so that you have the most chance to avoid them being canceled with railguns. So you go the other way. You go with rapid recharge and recycling cell, and that one is a lot more heat, and you may more so want that heat sink to fire.
I've got on here. Oh yeah, I did. I put the Biweave on there with the cell bank. Yeah, that's what I'm running. Yeah,
but I fired the cell banks without the. In fact, I didn't even put the heat sink back on here. I left the shield boosters because it's whatever.
I'm firing it without it.
It peaks at like 110% heat. Like this is a combat ship, so I have module reinforcements in it. It's going to be fine. The warning lights are just that.
I think I fired it a couple times and didn't even get above 100.
Oh wow! Were you sitting still? I don't wait for it.
No,
That's the other thing.
no,
I fire it and
no.
I just keep fighting, like whatever.
I did probably pull out and had pulled out of the battle and had not been actively shooting for 30 seconds or so. Fired it off and then jumped back in, I think.
Right.
Or you can have thermal vent beams and fire it off and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That could work, yeah, if your weapon capacitor is full enough, right? So that they can be effective. Yeah.
The multi-cannons are hitting harder.
Yep, they are.
Yeah, that's just been where I've landed lately. I've taken the lasers off, and I think there's some contributing factors. It's PowerPlay and the fact that I've just been needing to tear ships as quickly as possible. The engineering shuffling of making it easier to get materials, and PowerPlay just like feeding me materials every time I gain a rank. Just lots of reasons to I've just not had trouble. Like, I don't mind synthing more ammo nearly as much as I used to. I do it quite a lot now, so I'm just like all in this, this kinetic guns, not having to put very many pips in the weapons capacitor. Really like having those in other places.
So my T10 is all kinetic as well. I've got a couple cannons on there. I've got the four multi-cannons on top that basically never stop firing, and then the others are just missiles for when I can get lined up. It does really well, actually. The only time I notice a ship's shield is if they have a prismatic. It tears, those 4 multi-cannons tear through anything else so fast.
Just on a T10. Please turn.
Yes, sir.
Please turn.
I have dirty drives on it. It turns all right. Outside of Super Cruise.
So I'm in the notes here. I had written thinking that we were going to do shields, and then I just went and talked about other stuff from last week for a while.
No, we're fine.
Do we want to talk more about just shields in general? Like, we could do a quick version or something. I don't know.
I'm good with shields if y'all are good with shields. I don't really have much else to say about them.
I love shield theory. It's always good to have give a good lesson on like all the different elements of it. I mean, how far into this are we tonight?
A while.
Timelines?
Yeah.
Hour
Minute
and
or
20
two?
or something.
Yeah, because we've kind of danced around shield theory without like really going into
Yeah,
the weeds on
that's
it.
true. I mean, shields, baby.
Shields,
Trax
baby.
likes to use the low draw experimental. It's really good. I'm telling you guys, I've mathed it out, and it does better than fast charge even on a Biweave in like every situation, every real world situation. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about a shield. You see these engineerings like reinforced, and you think, that makes my shield stronger, right? Not exactly. I mean, sure, maybe that's the one you want on a prismatic where you want that big number. But on the Biweave shield, the whole idea is that sucker's got to recharge so fast. You want it to be recharging between bouts of the fight. It comes back so quick that they can never get it down, even if they drop it to 50%, and then you blow the ship up in just a minute or so, you're back up to 100. It's just hit points forever, regenerating hit points. It's amazing.
Like a troll or doppelganger.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. So to get that, you actually don't put reinforced on the shield. You don't want to pump up those megajoules numbers at all. You want to pump up the resistances instead. So you put on the shield generator on a Biweave, you put thermal resist, because that's where a shield is deficient by default. So this makes it evens it out mostly. It actually tilts it a little bit in the direction of being thermal resistant and more so than it's weak to the others. But then you can make up for that with shield boosters. So what do you do with your shield boosters?
Yeah, tell us, what do you do? Which shield boosters do you buy, my friend?
Shield boosters?
Because this one was counterintuitive to me until you explained it to me many moons ago.
Yeah. So it depends on the size of your ship and the size of your shield generator. But generally, First of all, the mod you want to start with is resistance augmented, and this boosts all 3 resistances by like, well, it depends on which booster, but between like 13 and 18%, depending on the rating of the booster. And it adds very, very little to the actual total shield strength. But the effective shield strength against these damage types is boosted considerably, and because it's not increasing that raw megajoules, the raw megajoules is what's being taken into account when your shield's taken up time to recharge. It's how many megajoules per second it's putting out. So if your total shield has a very small megajoules number, but you get those resistances up to 40, 50, or 60%, this Python has like 70% resistances on all 3. It's ludicrous. The shield strength. In fact, I'm just gonna like open it in. I'm gonna open
That's
my,
what I'm talking about.
Market connector. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna show you my Python shield right now because I'm sitting in it, and I've just imported it here. And I'm gonna bring this browser tab over. I can show it on screen. Oh, it's kind of small. I'll zoom it. Hold on. Enhance. Just in case anybody's actually watching the thing here. Okay. So. Make this browser window bigger. Okay, fabulous. So, my shield, I'm going to show the shield. So the total raw strength of the shield is only 690 megajoules, right? That's pretty small. Mm-hmm. But the resistances are 60, 67, and 72% for kinetic, thermal, and experimental. Wow. Okay, so the effective... That's really high. The effective resistance, and this is, by the way, this is being calculated with 2 pips in systems. So Lord. Circle back to that. So the effective shield that I have is like 2.6 thousand, 3,000, and then the explosive is almost 4,000. It's like 3.8 on this shield. And this recharges in 1 minute and 48 seconds. Right? So it builds from which one? Wait, which one of these? Okay, so from broken, it takes 1 minute and 17 to come back. And when it comes back, it's at 50%. And then it takes 1 minute 48 to get back up to full strength from 50% with 2 pips in systems. So if I go and just right now put more pips in systems, so if I go 4 pips to systems, then you have effectively 2.5x your raw shield strength to begin with. And then you factor in the resistances. So now everything's up over 4,000. It's crazy. So, and then I have cell banks, right? Your cell banks get more effective because this cell bank I have in here does 180 megajoules per charge. But that's like a pretty significant portion of that 690 megajoule starting number, right? So that's the point of the Biweave. And so I have a mix. I have a couple of A-rated boosters on here. I think every one of these has resistance augmented on it. Yeah. You could shuffle this around. Some people use some heavy duty and some resistance augmented. It depends if you want to balance that a little more than I have. Because if I bump into something pretty hard, my shield just evaporates because collisions are absolute damage. So none of these resistance numbers come into account. If I'm going to ram something, you got to put 4 pips in systems because then my shield is worth, the raw shield is worth 1,700 megajoules. But if I get caught with only 1 pip in systems, let's see what that looks like here. Only 1 pip in systems, yeah, like then it's only 847. It's just really weak. And likewise, if you get shot with plasma is 60% absolute damage, so that can hurt pretty bad, which is why it can be such an effective PvP weapon. But
I have a question about low draw versus fast charge because I have been playing with both on EDS.
Okay, hold that thought.
So.
Just about the shield boosters, the A-rated boosters do more to pump up your raw megajoules, but they use a lot of power and they are heavier, right? And especially if you put heavy duty mod, they weigh like 14 tons or something.
Yep.
That's a lot. So the shield booster is actually the only module in the game where the E-rated has less mass than the D-rated. So it's just totally linear all the way up through the line. So basically, E and D are what you use if you have a small ship and you're trying to keep it light, because the effective boost on all of these, resistance augmented on all of these is like about 15%. regardless of shield of which booster. So you're getting away with that resistance added, the additive resistance without adding a bunch to the raw megajoules, so it's not slowing down your recharge time nearly as much, and you're getting a lot more shield out of it. So that's the idea. And if you have a giant ship, then it probably doesn't affect it very much to go to an A-rated, and you might probably have a much bigger shield anyway, and the recharge time's lower. I have these builds with like very small ships. The Cobra Mark V, for example, much smaller. That matters a ton that I'm using E-rated boosters. The Python's a little, I'm got a little more leeway there before you can really feel the difference in the maneuverability and stuff from the weight and all that stuff. So anyway, okay, let's talk experimentals on the generator.
Okay, so in EDSM, is it SM or SY? In EDSY, I have been playing with shut up.
I'm not going to make that joke. I'm just telling you, I want you to know that I know it's there.
Fair. I have been playing with low draw versus fast charge on a size 6 Biweave shield that I have. Okay. If it has low draw, it recharges pretty fast. If I have fast charge on it and just 2 pips, just like the last one, it actually recharges just a few seconds slower. But if I put 1 pip into systems, fast charge is much faster than the low draw. So what's the other downside that I'm missing there between that? Is it the distributor?
You need more of a downside than you had to move pips into systems to keep your shield recharging?
No, because my weapons loadouts are usually pretty low battery.
Yeah, but you need those shits in engines, man. Like this Python, I'm running 141 almost all the time. Almost never have to move anything around. Like if I'm taking a lot of fire, then that's a good reason. If you're taking a bunch of fire, that's the reason to put pips into systems. I don't want to have to be moving them into systems because my distributor ran out. That sucks, right? I want to be shuffling pips into weapons if I need to, because I just like fired a bunch and need to recharge that. That's fine. But I don't want my shield to be draining that. So I mean, okay, so here I'm looking at this now. Let's do the configuration I said. Let's do, I'm trying to get it to line up here. Okay, there, 141. Okay, with this config, my shield takes about 2.5 minutes to recharge on both ends, roughly. With low draw, if I change it to fast charge, it takes 3 minutes and 13 seconds to rebuild and 3 minutes and 34 seconds to recharge from 50%. So it's taking maybe 45 seconds longer to rebuild the shield. Now that's because my systems capacitor is draining, and then that 1 pip doesn't fully feed the Biweave with fast charge on it, because what fast charge is doing is taking that already kind of high distributor draw of the Biweave and making it happen faster. It's happening more times per second, essentially. Low draw just works for me, because and where does it change? So how many pips do I have to have in this fast charge? I'm going to add a pip to systems. So now fast charge, now with 2 pips in systems, fast charge is down to 1:39 and 1:40, which is almost the same as low draw was. Yeah, low draw is slower to regen but quicker to build from broken. But they're about the same. They're about the same. That's interesting that they kind of split there in the middle. So then if we go up to 3 pips, then low draw takes 59 seconds to build and 1:48 to recharge. So now it's slower to recharge than it was before. Well, not by a whole lot. And then fast charge is 1:09 to 1:36. So fast charge in this case still takes longer to rebuild from 0, but it's 10 seconds, 12 seconds faster to regen from 50%. So you really, only when you put a lot of pips in systems and then leave them there for that 1:36, right?
Which is a long time,
or it doesn't count. Yeah, exactly. Or I leave it in low draw and holy crap. Like, yeah, I mean, now I'm never getting lower than that 59 seconds and a minute 48 with 3 pips in systems. So there you go. I know, like, I never need to have more than 3 pips in systems for recharging my shield as fast as possible. It'll never have a problem with that. But anyway, you caught me. Technically, there are situations where fast draw will recharge a shield faster on paper. But yeah, I'm assuming we're still in a fight, or we wouldn't be caring about how long it takes, right? So,
right. And it wasn't me trying to like catch you or anything. It was just something I noticed when I was playing with it.
Yeah, so it's a matter of opinion, but I think my opinion's very justified. And
as do I, since I've never been able to kill you yet.
Yeah. So that was kind of a fast version on shields. Is that?
Yeah. Now I do have a question about experimentals. I mean,
okay.
Like, the conventional wisdom is cluster capacitors always.
On boosters, yes.
On boosters.
No, sorry. Boosters is super capacitors.
Yeah, super capacitors. Super capacitors.
Okay, so wait, are we talking about this? Then I might have steered you wrong. So, cluster capacitors is a distributor.
Right.
That's a distributor experimental. Okay, never mind. Back to your question.
Back to my question on shield boosters.
Yes.
Cluster capacitors.
Super capacitors.
Super capacitors, or should we? Is there a scenario for another one? Like with the size E shield booster, should we be doing a super capacitor, or should we be doing no experimental, or should we be doing more resistance?
I think it's always super capacitor.
Yeah.
And the reason is you give up a small amount of your resistances, like 1.5% or something across the board, for a bonus of okay, here, let me just take the engineering off of this one. Oh, but I can't. All right, hold on. I got to look this up on the wiki. Shield booster. I spelled shield wrong, everybody. Come on, man.
I've personally just, while he's looking that up, I've personally just always done cluster capacitors. Or
the math bears that out. There's unless you like are desperately needing to even out your resistances in a way, like the only ones available are double brace. We'll throw that away. Like, you don't need system integrity right on this module, right? So basically blast block. Well, flow control. Okay, like if you just had to fit boosters into your ship and you were over power budget, then reach for flow control, because you know a shield booster that can't turn on is useless. Who cares if it has 3% more of something, right? So flow control or super capacitors is my feeling, and then the other ones are just the different resistance blocks. So let's look at that. So like we'll look at thermo block. So it increases thermal resistance by 2% while reducing shield boost by 2%. So what this is going to do is keep your thermal resistance the same, or keep your effective thermal shield the same while lowering your other effective shield. I can't think of the word I'm trying to use. You know what I mean? Like, you have an effective explosive shield and an effective thermal shield based on their resistances.
Right.
If you put thermal block on your booster, you have decreased your total shield boost, right? So all 3 resistances just lowered their effectiveness by 2%, but then thermal resistance added 2%.
Just for thermal.
So all you did, you know what I mean? So like, anyway, to me, like, it doesn't change it enough when you're doing that on a booster to make enough of a difference. I have a bunch of boosters that got engineered this way kind of early on, and slowly but surely I'm kind of working my way through them. And when I discovered that, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to switch that to super cap, because let's look at what the super cap experimental says. And once again, my back button doesn't work because the stupid wiki loaded itself like 4 times. There we go. Push it 4 times and I'm finally back. The Elite Wiki on fandom needs to take a pill with their ads. I'm not happy about that, and I'm going to say so on my platform.
Take a pill with that.
Okay, supercapacitors. So you get why are they not telling me the actual experimental effect? It's telling me it increases the shield boost. Oh, okay. No, it did tell. It's worded weird. Okay, so you get 6.38 plus to your total shield boost that the booster is providing at the cost of 2% of your resistances across the board. So for me, it's that one maths out slightly better just across the board, kind of all the time, to the extent where it's sort of not worth worrying about. In the same way that like over on the distributor, I've started using cluster capacitors, even though it seems to go against what I'm doing. I'm doing charge enhanced on that. The cluster capacitors reduces the charge speed, but increases the total capacity. But because it does so, the negatives are less than the positives. So on the whole thing comes out better. So, with the shield booster, I'm using these as resistance augmented boosters. And so I'm getting my 15% resistances across the board, or 14 or whatever percent. And then I'm adding supercapacitors, which subtracts that a little bit, but increases the total effective, the raw shield by 6-something percent, which makes up for it, right? Because it's more than 2.
Yep.
So that's the way it works out for me.
This is what we all love.
And because if you have the other kind of booster, like if you have a heavy duty booster, because you're doing like a prismatic or you're just configuring your Biweave to just have a little bit stronger of a raw number, you can those still get supercapacitors, and it's even easier argument, right? Because the raw number of your shield is bigger, so that 6-point-something percent that the booster is adding is worth more now, because the number it's boosting is bigger, because shield boosters are percentage based. Yep. We have to have strayed into like eyes rolling into the back of your head levels of blathering
we're
by now,
so
right?
far off the rails at this point. We should
Are
move
we in
to
it?
community corner.
So now,
Okay.
dear listeners, if you haven't been taking notes, don't
Whomever's
worry,
watching.
because Lark is going to transcribe all of this later tonight. So.
Oh
Yes,
my God.
absolutely.
Imagine.
Or just come to our
Imagine.
Discord with your shield build and we'll tell you you're doing it wrong. Because it took me engineering a lot of shields to have shields that make any modicum of sense, and I still learned something new. So,
Well, good.
Yeah.
At this point, the feedback from this episode is going to tell me a lot, right? Because if I've just done that, and people are like, "Oh yeah, let's do this module next," then holy shit. But I will.
Oh frick!
We can give them a
That's
break.
what
at the
you're gonna
very
hear.
least. I might. Hey man, I love this crap. I'm just painfully aware of how.
How much you love that crap.
This isn't the words to describe it. Unbelievable. Okay. Yes, we need to talk about something else. Community corner. So, unfortunately, our friend from the future, Grover Kiwi, did have to duck out a while ago, and I feel bad, and I really should have thought of that. And although I don't know, he didn't tell me he was going to have to leave. But anyway, I should have gotten to the community corner a little earlier, because he was going to tell us about exploration stuff. But he will join in next week and fill this in. And why are we talking about exploration stuff? Because besides the Elite Racers kicking off an SRV rally cycle this Saturday, the 25th, link to their Discord in the show notes, the other community events seem to involve exploration. For one thing, there is a forum thread from the originators or designers or planners of the Distant Worlds expeditions, wondering if maybe finally the time has come to do this thing again, and it seems to be getting quite a response. They want to feel out the community and see what it's like. It seems to be getting quite a response so far, but if you want to add your voice to it, go find it. I don't have the link right now. I'm sure it's easy to find. It'll be the most popular thread on the forum right now.
And as far as I'm aware, Drew Wagar is on board with this, just like all the other ones as well.
Yeah, you got some time. They're talking next year.
Yeah, they're planning on, if it happens, and I think it kind of will, but judging from the reaction, they're planning on taking off approximately a year from now in next January, which will, I think, be the 10-year anniversary of the first Distant Worlds expedition.
Why don't they just tag along with us?
Tag along with us at what?
Distant Screws 3 coming to a Discord near you, specifically the Loose Screws one. February 2nd is so far the confirmed date. We had to move it out a couple days just because some scheduling conflicts. I know I was saying the 31st before. It's now the 2nd of February. Same time though, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is -7 UTC. We are still taking off from Ross 310, Planet 5D. It's a rocky ice world with a carbon dioxide atmosphere. It's actually very beautiful down there. I'm landed there right now. And we have some, what are they called? Contests and things we are going to be doing while we're out there. For instance, after the launch date, we are going to have an SRV extravaganza out at Morgan's Rock on the, so far, scheduled for the 7th of February at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, a -7 UTC. It is a 1.41 G world. I hope there are some mountains there because I think it would be fun to take the scarabs out and do some very bad mountain climbing with them.
Do the high G worlds tend to be flatter though, because it's like harder for large geographic formations to happen? Okay,
they do,
yeah,
but that doesn't
sucks.
mean there won't be some hills to find that could suffice.
Cool.
Failing that, we will just do a
Greater
straight
wall.
up balls to the wall SRV race and see what happens. But there are actually going to be prizes for that. We want to give away some t-shirts and some mugs and some stickers. And then on the 14th of February, a little farther out at the Cape Traverse DSSA carrier, I would like to do some sort of buckyball race with our stupid explorer ships out there. And I'll be giving away some more stickers, both of the Distance Cruise 3 logo, as well as either the Elite logo or whatever ship company is your favorite, like DeLacy or Lakon, whatever, because those are all over the place out there, and I want to get you guys some. So come explore with us. We're having a screenshot contest that runs for the entire month of February as well, and just come have some fun. We're going to have a blast out there. At least that's what I hope.
And remember, folks, that February 2nd date, delayed it from January 31st, gives you a little more time to go now buy the Mandalay on credit.
Which I always forget comes out on credits on the 31st. Get it engineered.
Right. You're ready to go.
That's the idea.
Yep.
Did we talk about the Elite Racers?
We did.
Yeah, I mean, I gave them the quick version. We've been mentioning it. I think this is the first time we've known the date. I don't know. I updated the notes today, and I don't think we had the date in there. So yeah.
No, we didn't have the date before.
Kicking off on Saturday, and just to remind, in case somebody didn't remember this, the Elite Racers do live racing, not asynchronous time trials. So synchronized racing. If you're participating, get in there, and they'll organize into heats, and it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing that will happen.
And it's SRV, not ships, so you don't have to worry about loops of shame. Just spin out some crashes of disappointment.
Shame. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's a slippery boy, this one. So
yes.
I think there's info there already for you to go and practice, which would probably be advisable.
100%, because those racers are not driving their SRVs; they are flying their SRVs.
Yes, and competing for fun is more fun if you're competitive. So practice. Yeah, do it. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Oh my God, did I talk about shields for that long?
It's okay.
You did.
Oh,
It's my fault
man.
for getting you going on it, so you can both of us.
And we did
My
ask you
eyes are
questions.
watering. Yeah. God.
Oh,
Okay.
shoot, that was
Anyway,
fun, though.
it's fine.
I don't care.
It's fine. Thank you to Grover Kiwi, who couldn't stick around, and now I feel awfully bad, but whatever. I guess
Don't
he was
feel
just
bad.
like
He's
bumming
on a
around
3
in his afternoon.
Well, he's doing a 3-day vacation now, so he's like going to the beach
Yeah.
and stuff. Do not feel bad for Grover Kiwi.
Okay. All right. We'll check back in with him tomorrow to talk more about, he knows all about the exploration things and tools and stuff like that, which will be handy for people to get familiar with ahead of going out on expedition. And I don't know jack shit about any of that stuff, so I am awfully glad to have Grover and people like him around. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Daxtus apologizes for not being able to join the show tonight. He really wanted to because he wanted to give a shout out to his friend Mackin and congratulate him on getting into the partners program.
Yeah,
Daxtus really
true.
loves your stuff, man.
War criminal.
Yep. We're just so proud of that war criminal.
Which one, Daxi or Meccan?
Yes.
Why not both? Anyway, thank you also goes to Blooming Wind, Larkshade, and Oblivious for joining me. Yay! Thank
Hey,
you. Applause. And that's gonna be it. And we'll see you next week. And yeah, let me know what you think about this episode.
We'll let you know.
Sincerely. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks. Oh, smash that like button. See you later. Bye. Everybody say
Goodbye.
bye. Bye. Bye.